Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Salamat sa iyong pagdala. And I'm sorry to say that's about as much Tagalog as I'm going to be speaking this evening, because I was born as many children, Filipino children in the Philippines. I moved here when I was a little girl, and my parents spoke Ilocano with me. So, and of course, so anyway, my name, and I want to thank Camille for inviting me here to represent the USC Memory and Aging Center, and also for including research in this Alzheimer's outreach, because not too many are aware that this is also a possibility for ourselves and for our loved ones. And also because it's very vital in finding a treatment and ultimately cure for Alzheimer's disease and prevention. So, let's see. Move, and while we're waiting for the handouts. So who are we at Memory and Aging Center? So we conduct memory research, but not just those who are having memory problems, but also for those who are concerned with having memory problems. We are one of the Alzheimer's Disease Research Centers, ADRCs, which are about 30 to 40 in the United States, most of them in university settings. And we started in the 1980s, and what they started to do was to learn more about how to diagnose and how does the disease progress, and of course how to treat the Alzheimer's, and also hopefully find the cures for it. So let's see. Unfortunately, I didn't give ahead of time the web page, but we do have a web page, adrc.usc.edu, so you can have a look. Oh, okay. Okay, so we're passing around two things. One is just a simple one page of who we are, this one. And the telephone number of our outreach representative, Nadine Diaz. She's a social worker who will be the first person we will speak with when you call our center. And I'm so sorry I didn't bring my business cards. I've forgotten them at home. And the other one is our latest edition from last quarter of our bulletin of what's happening in Alzheimer's disease. There it is. Thank you so much. There'll be one more at the end. So you can find us online, and it talks about who we are. And like I said, since the mid-80s, we started research with many universities on Alzheimer's disease. And you can also find what types of studies we conduct and what we currently study, because it changes from year to year. So, and then also you're getting the bulletin, and a lot of this information, Dr. Pascasio has already discussed, and Ms. Ellen Sampson has already discussed. So just a little bit of information about Alzheimer's disease. So what we do, we offer opportunities to participate in research studies, including clinical trials on Alzheimer's disease and other medications and treatments. But in addition to that, we just started in 2014, hopefully it's going to be successful, prevention for Alzheimer's disease. That's something very promising. So what types of research do we have? We have observational, in which we just conduct memory testing year to year to year of people who have memory impairment, those who have Alzheimer's disease and other types of dementia, and also normal or average cognition, normal memory problems. And then we have diagnostic research. One of them is our long-standing brain research study, where we do an autopsy, and then we give reports to the family of the findings. And also we have this ADNI, Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative. And what this is serial imaging. So they are a series of MRIs, where we use the magnet to take pictures of the brain. And then we also have PET scans, another way to take pictures of the brain, year to year to year. And there's two of these studies, one that's sponsored by the National Institute on Aging and National Institute of Health, and also the Department of Defense. And then, of course, we have our pharmacological or medication studies versus a placebo. So these, we hope, will be very promising to help stop the disease and even prevent the disease. And even one of them, hopefully, to improve our memory. That's the allopregnanolone. And then we also have other types of studies. So the familial studies that Dr. Pascasio started to mention about the high-risk families. We follow very high-risk families that have genetic mutations. And then also we look at the genes, like the APOE4. And so thank you for presenting those videos, the cartoons about how memory loss occurs. So as you saw in the video, plaques and tangles spread slowly through the brain. It starts in the hippocampal area, which is right here in about the temples. And depends on each person, the progression of the disease varies. And you mentioned in the video that it can be 8 to 10 years, but it can even go up to 20 years that we found. It's amazing. One of our participants, she died at the age of 107. She had Alzheimer's disease when she was in her 90s. So her body really stood up to it. So it can be as fast as a few years, depending on when you catch the disease and how aggressive and progressive it is. So what happens, so that in the beginning stage, you start to lose the memory, as was mentioned, and so plaques and tangles start. And then it just continues to go faster and faster. And so over time, there will be more plaques and tangles, and then it becomes more moderate, or in the middle stage. So in the early stage and the middle stage of Alzheimer's disease is where we do most of the research, and also before that and in normal cognition and those who have normal memory. Because in the late stage, it's already too late. We're not able to conduct our tests, and it's very difficult. They become very agitated. For example, going to an MRI machine and to perform all of the things that we do for the studies. So what are the diagnostic ranges? And well, the most severe is from the top down. So of course we have studies from mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease. These are our participants still able to perform in a memory testing, or still able to answer our questions. So we follow them short period of time, maybe 1 to 2 years. Then we have studies for what we call mild cognitive impairment. So they're not yet diagnosed with a dementia or Alzheimer's disease, but maybe it may lead to that. Then we have what we call prodromal. So might start to notice that you're repeating things, but not as bad as perhaps when you do ultimately get the Alzheimer's. And those that don't have any symptoms, and also those in normal condition. And how do we know that you're preclinical, that you may get to Alzheimer's disease? Well, we already have a PET scan called the fluor beta per, or beta amyloid PET scan, one of the proteins that was shown in one of the slides, that starts to accumulate in the brain and starts to suffocate the nerve cells or neurons and create plaques, and slowly it will kill the nerve cells. And we can see that in this PET scan. So let me see. We can go to the second page of this. It talks a little bit about that. Before we get to the specific studies that we have ongoing right now, what types of studies do we have? I'm so sorry. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the observational study. So who can participate in our studies? Anybody who has suffering any kind of memory impairment, mild to severe. Please contact us, and there's contact information is on that one page. And you can participate in what we call an observational study, where we conduct the memory testing, see where you are at baseline, and then we follow you year to year to year. And then we'll recommend, the doctors will recommend, what are some of your options. And perhaps, what are some clinical trials that you can try after you already went to your doctor to get diagnosed and are receiving medications. There's maybe something additional that one can help you, also can help the rest of us and the rest of their families in the future. And also you can participate in the diagnostic studies as well. Now, you don't have to have memory problems to participate, but you have to be at least 70 years old and above for us to consider you in our year-to-year observational study. And we test you to see if you're actually going to be a prodromal, or you might have the risk of developing Alzheimer's. That's one of our screening. So let's go on to, okay. So one of the really popular studies that we're doing now for normal aging is what we call the A4 study. A4 is a study of, these are people who eventually may develop Alzheimer's disease because they have some memory complaints many years before their diagnosis. So there's an opportunity to get a medication that is given by IV that will help to remove the beta amyloid proteins that are concentrated in your blood so that it doesn't enter the brain, and so that it prevents or delays the onset of Alzheimer's disease. So we're also studying this in, not only in normals, but in those who have what we call mild cognitive impairment or mild Alzheimer's disease. And we have two studies, the ENGAGE study and the crenazumab, or the CREED study, that study. And that's what it is. Right now we're focusing on those proteins that seem to suffocate the nerves and kill the neurons, so that we can remove it, so that hopefully we will stop the disease and prevent it from going forward. And for these types of studies, you have to be at least, I believe, age 50 to 85 years old, and have some memory problems. And then we have one of the other studies that we're doing is called the allopregnanolone study. And what it is, allopregnanolone is a neurosteroid, that what it does, it actually helps to generate new neurons and also help prevent the deposition of the beta amyloid proteins that destroys the nerve. So, you know, we're hoping that in addition to stopping it, that we can actually help grow new neurons. So those are our clinical trials that we are undergoing right now. And as I said, please, if you're interested in participating, give us a call at this number below at our website. It talks about any other studies that we're conducting. Every year or two we have new ones, and so there'll be more that, you know, if you start coming and participating, we'll let you know what other studies that you may be eligible for in the future. Thank you very much.